I can agree that there aren't any, but at the same time, they are. That's the thing. So it's one of them ones because we both can't be doing the same thing at the same time. We're going to end up doing different things that complement each other. And the different things that we do are going to end up like being similar to what other people do. And you're going to notice that there's a correlation or similarity between what, let's say, one woman does in one household to another, to what a man does in another, to another. You see?
Okay.
So okay, I'll give this one as
so okay to help you the way you should approach it, because gender roles is surprisingly an active conversation in society, right? This is something that someone is trying to get their head around, right? So explain it as if you're explaining to someone who is genuinely trying to understand what the difference is, if there is a difference, just trying to make sense of everything, because that's the best way to, I guess, make the point. I don't know if there is a point to make that is. So yeah. So do it that way. So don't, because I feel like you're holding yourself back. You're trying to double think. Or
not
like
double thinking.
I'm thinking
on the spot as I'm going, because when you put it like that, I would agree with you. Because when you say, okay, fine, gender roles, it's almost like saying these are the roles. This is what a man is supposed to do. This is what a woman is supposed to do. I'm trying not to come from that angle because I don't believe it should be brought from that angle. I think that's where the issue becomes. Yeah. However, even if you don't come at it from that angle, I do believe that there are certain tasks, if I use that word, in the household that a man will gravitate towards and a woman will gravitate towards by nature. And that's where maybe the language of roles might come in. Because if you then look at one house to another, there's a correlation in those roles. So therefore they become now termed, this is what a man does, this is what a woman does, kind of thing.
So what are those?
So for example, I'll give one for example. I think this would apply to most families, but when it comes to dealing with car maintenances and car issues, garden maintenances, like cutting the lawn and things like that, cutting the hedge outside, that kind of thing, the maintaining of the outside, or the shed, if you have a shed, that kind of thing, okay? I do believe, I haven't seen the stats or whatever in this world, 2025, it could be completely different, but I know once upon a time this was the thing. That was more of what we would term a blue job, a guy thing. Simply because sometimes it might be windy outside or whatnot. We've always viewed women as flowers, very delicate fragile and whatnot. So anything that's rough, anything that requires grit and dirt, men preferred to do that in the protection of their women. Or, you don't have to do that, babe, I can go do it. It wasn't in the you can't do it. It was in the you don't have to do it. Okay. Does that make sense?
That's fair.
You are a princess, you are a queen. You stay in the nice, warm, comfy house, I'll go do that. Yeah. Now, in fact, we can bring in Isaac and Jacob. Isaac and
yeah. Who are you trying to get?
The twins, the one that Jacob and Esau, yes. Yeah. You remember the one that there was a hunter who took after the father, so to speak. That was Esau, and then the other one who was a mama's boy, stayed with the mom and whatnot, and his skill was in cooking. Actually. Exactly. His skill was in cooking because it's like the mom took him under the wing. Yeah. So even, again, I did say we need to be careful of culture.
Okay, can I just clarify? And this is a genuine question. The aspect of his skill was in cooking because the mom took him under the wing. Is that, are you adding that? Or, does the story tell us that?
I'm adding that. Because he cooked the meal that...
I know he was a cook, but you added the context of he was a mama's boy. The
Bible does give us that the mom loved him more than that.
I just wanted to know if that aspect was being
it's the same thing we're talking about, the House of David, reason, chosen. We add a little bit of dramatization. This must have been the case.
Okay, go on.
So no. The Bible doesn't explicitly say that the mom took him under the wing, but when you follow the story, you can safely conclude that.
No, I'm not disputing it. I just wanted to know whether it was scripture or otherwise.
So that's why you might find that things that are to do with home wise, the woman tends to take more on that role. So again, I think I mentioned to you earlier that I was having a conversation with a cousin before. We were debating the gender roles, and even in her argument against men's inadequacy, she's saying that, well, I'm here thinking about the trash has to be taken, the house has to be cleaned, I have to cook, I have to mop the floor, I have to go fix the bathroom, and then I have to go shower. It's like her mind is focused on the house. Not once is she saying, well, I have to go put petrol in the car, or I have to go check the tires, or I have to go check my oil, that kind of thing.
But maybe those things they need doing.
Maybe that could be true, but I'm just saying that even in her argument of why men are single-minded and women are more, what she, in her list, work didn't come into it, if I can even add that, you know. Don't get lost on that. Don't get lost on that.
No.
I'm just saying.
No. It's a whole general thought, because okay, so you've described how things can be. I'm still trying to understand what you understand gender roles to be. So earlier when you added the statement, they are gender roles, we cannot run away from them. What are those things that you had in mind? Because, for example,
so I've just given a primary example, but for example, car fixing, garden, like outside chores, more man jobs, inside jobs, more women jobs.
So what you're telling me is that me as a man, it is my responsibility to cut the grass.
See, that's what I was trying to avoid.
No, but that's what I mean. But
I'm not telling you what your responsibility is. I'm saying that the way I'm approaching this in the terms of the gender roles is saying that there are some there are things that you as a man will gravitate towards by nature.
Okay. So from what you're describing is preferences or is gravitations, shall we say? So
based on the fact that you are a male, yes.
Okay, so it is your argument that all men will have, or not all, when I say all, the majority of men will have the same gravitations?
Most men, yes. That is my argument, yes. Yes, 100%.
Well,
I
don't know if I agree with that.
You don't have to, but that's my thought. And I think that's why things like gender roles, if you look at the society, that's why things like that have come up, because over time we've seen the sort of things that men like to do or gravitate towards than women, and that's why now it's come to almost like a societal norm that men do ABCD, women do ABCD, because over time it's what we've naturally gravitated towards, and for good reasons as well. Very good reasons. For example, if we go back during the world wars, it was men that were drafted to the world. Why? Because it's always been women and children will stay behind. You see? So if the majority of the soldiers are men, well, yeah, that makes sense. If the majority of bricklayers are men, well, yeah, that makes sense. If the majority of bin men are men, well, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, okay, so I'm trying to understand what exactly it is you're saying, because at the moment I understand everything individually, but I feel like I don't understand it comprehensively, the overall point. So, and I think maybe it's coming from a difference in understanding. So let me backtrack a bit just to make sure we're on the same page. Because do you view taking the bin out on the same level as being drafted for war in time of war? Are those, because for me, I would argue it is the responsibility of a man to fight for his country in time of war, however way that fight. I'm not saying you have to be on the front line, but you have to fight for your country.
So hold on. So let's flip it like this, because we've been hold on.
I'm trying to understand.
Oh, hold on. I'm trying to help you understand. We've been at what I'm trying to say for a long time. So let's put a pin on that. You tell me what you see, or how you view it, or how you see it, whether you think there are certain roles or not. Because what you've said there is interesting, because are you? Because I was thinking that you were gonna say that whereas the taking out of the bin is not a man's job.
Oh, I don't see it as the responsibility of the man.
So I would like to know if you think there are roles or not from that to start off with, to see where you are at, and then maybe I can explain to you where we're going different, or if there is a place we go different.
You can't, because at the moment I don't quite understand. Okay, fine, we'll do that, but okay, answer my question first, and then I'll do what you're saying. So do you view being drafted for war in the time of war the same as taking the bins out?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So then, if that's how you view it, then I would say, and if that's how you view it, and you say that's what gender roles are, then I'll say no. I don't think there's such thing as gender roles.
Okay.
I do think there are gender responsibilities.
Wouldn't one argue that's the same thing?
Well, no, and that's why I asked about, because for me, a man defending his country in time of war is a responsibility.
Okay.
The being taken out, I don't see that as a responsibility of the man. It's a job that needs to be done. It doesn't matter who does it. It doesn't matter if the man does it, the woman does it, the neighbor does it. It doesn't matter. It's a job that needs to be done.
Okay.
I mean, you could argue it's mine because ultimately the whole household is mine to manage. So whatever needs to be done it's my responsibility. But I wouldn't view, if someone is like, oh yeah, for example, even our bins. Okay, I do take them out quite a lot. But there was a period of time where no. But my point is, it doesn't matter. We just do them. So for me, one, defending your country in a time of war is a responsibility that is placed upon every single male being. That's the way I understand it.
Who placed it upon males?
God.
So it's a role that God gave to men. I want to understand the difference between using the word responsibility and using the word role, because I could take the same thing you've just said and saying that defending the country is the man's role to do.
If you do that, you're being very unfair.
Okay,
because I asked the question to understand what your understanding was, and you told me that taking the bin out and being drafted for war are the same, and you're terming those gender roles. Yeah. So I'm saying, okay, fine, that's your understanding. Yeah. I'm saying that's not my understanding. So I'm telling you what my understanding is,
and I'm questioning your understanding by saying that by the use of the word responsibility, are you just not substituting the word responsibility for role?
Well, no.
Is my question.
What I can't.
Differentiation does the word responsibility bring?
The reason why I can't use role is because if I use role, I know what you understand by role. And for you, role is the bins and war. I see those two things are two different things. Okay, so that's why I'm trying to separate them. Do you understand what I'm doing?
I think so. But if I was to come to you,
I'm trying to separate bin from drafting war. So
I would have
it doesn't matter the words. Don't about role or responsibility or duty or honor. My point is that I'm trying to separate the concept that taking the bin out and being drafted for war to protect your country are the same responsibilities or roles that are being placed upon a man.
Let me ask you this then. What if let's say you're talking to somebody and they're telling you what they do around the house. So let me use the car thing as an example. Yeah. Every week I make sure that my wife's car and my car have got petrol. I check the tires because you have to do that. I check the oil and the water. I make sure that it's okay, ready for the week. And you ask them why. And they're like, no, I just feel like that's my responsibility. I take that as my responsibility to look after that. Is that man wrong in saying that? Should the man say, should the man not say that?
Okay, that question alone already tells me that you misunderstand what I'm saying.
No. Fair enough. I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
There is nothing wrong with them. To answer your question, there's nothing wrong with the man saying
Why is there nothing wrong with that? But then that's what I'm saying.
That the line of question you're going down has already told me that you've misunderstood what I'm saying. So
in order for me to understand, you need to explain to me why there's nothing wrong with what the man has said. Because your point, even though you think I'm misunderstanding it, your point is you are putting two separate categories between the term responsibility. There are certain things that you deem responsibility for a man to do, and you've put that as drafting war as one of them. Now you are viewing the household as there's no such a thing as man does this, woman does this. I
didn't say household. I was talking about taking the bin out.
Yeah, the context is household. Where are you going to be taking the bin out?
No, but I was very specific to ask you the question about taking the bin out. Then
I think you are also being unfair, because I understood the bin to represent certain tasks in the house, but you
didn't communicate that to me. How was I supposed to know that?
Because you needed the bin to stick to something, and I was okay with that.
And this is what I'm saying. Follow my thought. How I'm laying it down.
Chaotic, and I'm lost in trying to follow.
And I don't understand how.
Okay,
let's backtrack. No.
Okay,
pause.
Yeah,
let's backtrack. I asked you a simple question before I answered your question, and the question was, in the way you understand things, is taking the bins out the same responsibility on a man as it is for being drafted? You said responsibility and role are interchangeable.
Yeah, but stick to what I said if you're trying to backtrack so we can find out where we went. So yeah, now maybe that was my fault for not clarifying.
I asked that clarifying question to understand where you were.
I didn't think it was necessary at the time because I wanted you to continue where you're going. Now, what I'm saying is, or to clarify what I was saying there, there's left and right. right? Now, on the left, you can have, let's say, roles or responsibilities that either a man or a woman would take upon
Let me
themselves.
tell you what you're saying, because I know exactly what you're saying. And this is what, okay, so you're saying in a household, there are naturally certain tasks and things that a man will gravitate towards, and certain tasks and things that a woman will gravitate towards, right? Those are just things that are innate in us. And over time, we've turned these blue jobs, pink jobs, male things, female things, gender roles. That's what you're saying.
Roles,
yeah?
yes.
That's the thing you're saying.
Now,
I understand that.
Yeah, so hold on, pause. Now, you then took that and said that, do you take that to be the same as, for example, a man going to war?
Yes.
And my answer was yes, because the same spirit that is gravitating towards these things is the same spirit that's going to make you gravitate to the war. It's the same reason you will do these things in the household. It's the same reason you will be going to war. It's going to be the same reason I want to protect my wife and my children. It's the same reason you're going to do anything you don't want your wife or children to do. You're going to take that sacrifice upon yourself, you know, because you feel like, no, that's for me to do. So that's why I said yes in terms of, so that's why for me, that's why it didn't matter whether you specifically saying bin or something else. So that's why I said yes to that. Because in my opinion, I thought you understood that.
No, but you didn't communicate.
I did.
You didn't communicate that.
Why I didn't.
No, the way you explained it now, I understand what you're saying. You didn't say that at all.
I didn't, because I didn't think I needed to, because
you expect your money? I didn't. You're like, oh no, I didn't, because I didn't think I needed to.
You asked me a direct question. Another time, I felt like it was important to answer that direct question because it felt like you needed it in order for you to progress to the next thought. So that's why I stayed with it and said yes to see where you're going to go. So now we got where you wanted us to go. That's why I said, okay, fine. No, let me backtrack a little bit because I feel like we're misunderstanding each other here. So the reason why, so that's what I'm saying, that I was understanding your point as well, because for you, I'm understanding that in a household, there's no left or right or blue or pink or whatever. They're just tasks that you naturally do. Now, there are certain big things that as a man, it's your responsibility to do. Exactly. So that would be things like going to war, I'm assuming. You know, that's all I have at the moment. I don't know what else you can add in there, which is what you were doing. But then that's why I'm saying that, well, for me, unless if it's written that a man is supposed to do this and not a woman, I would argue that it's going to be innate. It's going to be, as the man, you're going to feel like you need to go do that. So it's the same spirit that would make you feel like you need to do certain things in the household.
So I think you actually touched, you answered it nicely earlier on when you were saying, I think you made a very important point.
Which is?
It upholds what you're saying, but at the same time destroys it.
Okay.
Because you made a very important point to say that, because obviously men put up with their rough and the tough whatnot, and we value our women, want to keep them protected, keep them in the house, keep them warm, we'll go out and do the hard things. There was a time when all these jobs that you described were the hard things. You know, so like you mentioned taking out the bin, you know, let's say going hunting, going to work. Yeah, going to work, even going to work, farming and stuff like that. Those were the hard things. And so, at their point, you women stay, we'll go do it. It's not that you can't do it, you shouldn't have to do it because you have men. But now, in a world where everything is easy, everything is convenient, everything it is at a press of a button, is there still need for the man to be like, okay, well, you stay, I'm gonna go. Like, where are you going? We both work from home. Where are you going?
Well, you could be sat on the sofa, comfortable, nice and warm.
No.
You hear the bin coming. Who's gonna stand up?
No. Do you know what? No. The reason I like that is because it I don't want to say agree, because agree sounds biased, but it aligns with what I was thinking. You know, because I feel like when we focus on gender roles, like, oh, you know, who's going to cook, who's going to clean, who's going to take the bin out, those things have never made sense to me. Maybe it's because of the way we're brought up. I don't know. We were doing everything around the house. But for me, I've never understood why that was even a conversation. Because it's like, the house is dirty, it needs to be cleaned. Somebody clean the damn house, right? And things are taking the bin out as well. Like, you just, oh, men have taken the bin out. It's like, why? It was never.
You would let your woman touch a dirty, stinking.
She does it all the time. I'm there.
No wonder why she's tired all the time.
I'm playing video games. What are you doing? I'm playing Saturday now. All right, cool. Oh, no, but that's the thing, because it's not a thing now. But my point is, that the aspect of doing the hard thing so that they don't have to, that can still, you can still have that heart in today's world.
Okay, fine. So
around whatever.
That agree, yeah. So that agrees
today.
with literally just what I was about to say. Because I wanted to take you back to what I said earlier when you asked me to give a summary. When I said that what it might look like today can differ. Yeah, there are certain things that will always be the same, and that's why I use the childbirth thing.
Yeah.
But in present day life, we are not going hunting and wrestling with balls and whatnot, we are
To my dismay.
we are fortunate enough not to be going to war as well, or not to be roughing it and things like that. So yes, I would agree 100% that how that looks like in the household is going to be very, very different. But the reason I was saying that the roles are still there, in my opinion, is because whatever it is that you're still going to do there, you're still doing two different tasks, for example, in harmony with each other. You see? So that's why I was adamant to say that, no, I don't want to make it come from a point of this is a man's role, this is a woman's role. You see? No, that's not it. Because I 100% agree. Let's take the cooking thing. You know, I know so many men right now that enjoy cooking for their wives. You know, that's the thing now. It's no longer, oh, a woman has to cook. No, men are actually coming back from home. Hey, stay away from the kitchen. Stay away from the kitchen. I'm coming. I'm not going to be long. You know, you see what I mean?
know men were cooking as far back as Jacob.
Exactly. Is that the one with the stew?
Oh, well, yes, it's one you were talking about earlier.
You know, I don't know, Jacob, Joseph, and no, it's just Jacob and Joseph. I don't know. I keep getting those names mixed up. I keep not thinking who is who. But yeah, so no, I do agree with that 100%. And that's why I was trying hard. Again, going to the beans and the cars and whatnot was just to use what can be seen as the norm in the present day life. If you look at certain households, that's what can be seen as a man's job. You know, in the lightness and softness that it is. You know, I'm not saying a woman can't change a tire, but something like that, a man will go change. A man will be like, oh, or rather your wife could come home, I think my tire is flat, can you go check it please, or can you go put air in it or something like that. If you have a pump, you'll be like, oh yeah, fine, I'll go take a look at it. It doesn't mean that she can't, you know, and it doesn't mean that that's necessarily a man's role, but in this society, because of the softness, because there's no longer roughing it out, those are our little roughs. And let's be fair, certain small things like that literally lights women's faces up, kind of thing. Oh, he changed my tire. Oh, he washed my. You see what I mean? Because that's what we have now. You see, and that goes a long way for them. You see, so
that's what we have now.
That's what we have. So that's why I was adamant to say that no, it's not from this angle of forcing it, but it's from the angle of we will gravitate towards certain things in the household that bring. And if you and your partner are working in out of sync, it will bring harmony. You know, I would even go as far as when you guys were renovating your house, you know, you were doing it together, but there was a lead, wasn't there? You know, and I would argue that you took that lead. You know, you were there. Okay,
I met my wife.
She took the lead in the application, but I'm thinking you had to. No, I think we need to. No. Let's do this. No, okay, fine. And then did you do it? You see what I mean? But obviously, I do know your wife, and I know she will paint a wall 50 times. So that kind of thing, she will be like, no, it's not done yet. No, it's not done yet. But do you understand what I'm saying? They're just things like that.
I have no issue with that. I think the only, to go back to something you said earlier, the only thing I do take issue is the statement you uttered about all men innately gravitating to the same tasks. I would disagree with that. Now, keeping in mind, I agree with you of the mentality around doing the hard things so they don't have to, right? That's fine. I think that's a great concept, and I think it's an important concept. So we'll put that in the keep for later.
Let me put it this way. Let me ask you this way then. Let me use 3 families. Your wife's best friend's house, yeah? And the Luton family, for example. And let's chuck in the Coventry family. If you 3 men had to sit and talk about the things that you do around the household, do you not think there would be a lot of similarity in the things that you guys do?
I mean, no. But at the same time, yes, because there's not much to do. But this is the thing. It's like, if your option is like 3 things.
Well, then that's fine. It just means all houses are doing those 3 things.
But do you know what I mean? Like, I know the question you're trying to ask, but I'm like, well, that's no, because they may be the same, but that's not because there's a variety of things to choose from. it's
but then of the small things that are there, let's take the women's side and your three things or small things that are there. Why is it that there's a similarity in the house?
Hang on.
That's the point I was making.
So why are you separating the women's side? What's on the women's side? Let's talk about that side for a second.
I don't know.
No. What's on the women's side? Because that's my argument is what I'm arguing is that there is no woman's side to begin with.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Let me do this. That's fair enough. I'll accept that. So let me put it this way. Let's forget women's side or men's side. You have you have 10 tasks per household. What are the chances that if we take all these 10 tasks and put them in all these 3 houses, that the 3 that you're gonna do are gonna be similar to the 3 that the other 2 houses are gonna do, and the 7 that they're gonna do are gonna be similar to amongst all the women?
I don't think it's gonna be that.
You don't think so?
I don't. Oh, okay.
Because I do, but again, it's just a theory. It's not like it's the thing. But I do believe there's gonna be a theory, because if we are governed by those, if we are governed by the same spirit, which is, for example, like what we're saying.
Okay. And this is where my issue is, because I don't think it's a spirit thing. I mean, everything is spirit related.
No. But I didn't finish what I was going to say. Do you know what spirit I was going to talk about?
Yes, you're talking about the male and female spirit.
I was going to say, if you are governed by the same spirit, such as the spirit of protection or the spirit of you don't have to do the hard things, the chances that you're going to define the similar hard tasks in that pool of 7 and take those.
Fair enough, but my point is, what's defined as hard tasks will vary, especially depending on the partner. And the reason I'm saying that is because, so for example, let's talk about my wife. For example, my wife is quite a tomboy. So certain tasks that a lot of women would deem as hard tasks, it's just another Tuesday for her. Whereas another task that, let's say, other women would feel as an easy task, which, to be honest with you, we are still going to talk about that woman's side, because I'm interested to see what you have to say. She might find as a hard task, for example. So if we are taking the spirit of doing the hard things so they don't have to, those hard things depend on what the woman terms
this is of course
100%.
This is where individuality comes in, per household. So, like I said, it's not to say that 100% everything's going to be identical. There's going to be, I think you might, one of the hard tasks you might have been talking about, that she might be referring to, like building flat packs and things like that.
That's not a hard task. That's just a stupid task. That's a waste of time task.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Fair enough. So the individuality is going to come in, because no man is the same, no woman is the same. We've all got our own individual aspects and stuff like that. So yeah, that's going to happen. I don't have an issue in that. I just think, if we were to genuinely look at a group of things to do, again, I don't know if a study has been done by this, I would be interested to know. But if we look at the group as tasks and then ask men, okay, fine, pick the ones that, you would want to do. If we are governed by the same, okay, I would do the hard one so that my wife or my partner doesn't have to. I think in that pack of things to do, even taking into account the individual aspect, there could be similarities in the things that we're gonna pick. And I'm saying that that's the innate man in all of us speaking or coming out that makes us choose that. Because at the end of the day, whatever era or phase we're gonna be in, that's always gonna be, if all things being equal, that's always gonna be our thing. We want to make the lives of our partners easier. We want them to have a nice, cushy life and relax, and us to do the hard things, basically.
Anyway, okay, but let's move on to the final one.
Okay.
Yeah,
church.
Let's do that. Church, the spiritual. I guess it's the headline of the final section. So then again, so when it comes to church, spiritually speaking, what are the roles there?
See, that now is a bit of a murky one for me. Simply put, I don't know. People use words, verses such as like, there's now no Greek, no Jew, no female, no male, whatever. And yes, of course, the Spirit of God is upon everybody, all believers. We cannot have the spirit of certain things, However, if I reverse the spirituality to the home, right? And if the church or the community is the extension of the home, you're going to have a lot more male spiritual leaders than you're going to have women. So that's why I'm saying I don't know. I think if things were done properly in an ideal world, that's how our churches would look. Yeah. Our pastors, our deacons and whatnot, would be males. Yeah. Not necessarily that women can't do it, but it's still going to be an extension of the household. That's how it would look. Because at the house level, the Bible is telling me that is my responsibility. I need to be the leader spiritually. So I need to start basically. And then it will filter down to my wife. Now, don't get me wrong. She can be the most gifted person at finding verses that, our Bible studies could be banging, booming. You see what I mean? This is not, again, people, I always repeat this, that it's not about ability. Yeah. It's just about if somebody has to be called as who is a representative of the household, I'm standing up. You see what I mean? So if we extend to the church, that's how the church should look. However, nowadays, churches are looking a lot more like 50-50, maybe even more women and so on and so forth. So that's why I'm saying I don't know, because is it wrong? I don't think so. I don't think I can say that.
That's the question. Well, I mean, ultimately, that's the question on the table. So
to be honest with you, I don't think I'm
in that area.
I don't think I'm qualified to answer that, because then
why not?
Well, no, I am qualified. I don't think I want to answer that.
Why not? The question remains the same. Why not?
I can't be out here calling the whole Christendom that they've got it wrong. Things are upside down. What I will say with confidence, is that if we were doing it the right way, which is the church being an extension of the family, we would have a lot more male leaders than female leaders. The way we are doing it right now, in that our
when you say a lot more, what would the ideal ratio be?
Oh, it will probably be like 99.9%. It will probably be like 100%. Again, in an ideal world, yeah, it will be 100%. I'm being very friendly with my words.
So would have no female pastors?
Pastors and so pastors, prophets, if you believe in that, apostles, teachers, I would say.
Why? Okay, that's interesting. Why no female prophets when there's plenty of female prophets in the Bible?
Okay, I can strike that from the record. The prophets one is an interesting aspect anyway, because Hebrews chapter 1?
No. So this is not a conversation of whether we think their prophets are here, like alive or not. That's a different discussion. But my point is, if there's male prophets, why can't there be female prophets?
Okay, fine. So I'll recorrect. If we are looking at the roles specifically, then I will recorrect that and say prophetesses can be there. In fact, thank you for saying that, because let me highlight this. It doesn't mean that women are not active in the church. Yeah, someone might sit here and they're seeing women just sat there, like this. No, it doesn't mean that women are not active in the church, and it doesn't mean that women are not sort of like influential in certain areas and at the forefront in certain areas in the church. That's not what I'm saying.
Do you know, I'm going to ask you a question, which I think is an interesting question. I've never heard it being asked before.
And you want to start it by asking
me.
And
that's why I give the preface, because I just want you to take don't worry about it too much. But because I do agree with you, the statement you just uttered, it doesn't mean women can't be in the church or be influential or whatever. But then people always say that, but then they never actually say, okay, how would that look like? In an ideal world, how would that look like? If they're not pastors, if they're not deacons or deaconesses, how would that look like?
You said I could take my time.
I mean, not too much time. We are live.
There's a verse. Maybe we can quickly search it up, because I can't remember it. And I think I want to answer this by that verse. It talks about, is it Chloe and a church in the household?
Wasn't Chloe Timothy's mother?
I'm not sure.
I mean, what's the point you're gonna make?
I want to read that. I can't remember it off my heart, but I want to read that. I think that's the one in Thyatira. I want to read that verse. I think that could answer that question. Try reading that.
No.
That could be my answer to that question.
Just an info to the church. Give greet. Is this the one? Give greetings to the brothers in Laodicea and to Nympha and to the church in her house.
Okay, I think so. Yes, and to the church in her house. So, what would that look like? I think that would look like women providing and creating the space for the meetings, for the gatherings, you know, in those kind of roles, ensuring that things are running smoothly. I don't know. There's a better version that makes that verse very rich. I don't like that, but yes.
No. I mean, I don't. You don't really give me much to go on, so I don't know what verse you give me Chloe, but I don't think the Chloe you're thinking of is not. I can't recall the verse that says in the house of Chloe. I think Chloe was just mentioned in a verse
in a random place. Yeah, go on. But yeah, I don't know. How would that look like? I think if we were to do it right, we would find out. I think it's one of them things where we would have to find out. Well, let me ask you this. Okay, hold on.
That's fair enough.
Let me ask. You know, it's not a cop out. Let me come back for this. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. How does your household look like with you as a spiritual leader in terms of what does your wife do? Because this might be a cop answer, but I can say the same thing that she does in the house is what she would do in the community or in the church. Just like the same thing you are doing in the house is the same thing you are doing in the community, in the church.
Well, no, that's based on what you're saying, that can't be the case because there are times where she will read the verses and you know she will be for lack of better word, she will be leading the session.
I mean, who says women can't lead the session? Who said women can't read verses?
No, but I'm not. Listen, I asked you a question as to how it would look like. So if you have an answer, tell me. If you haven't, tell me you haven't got an answer.
I do have
You asked me a question, I'm answering a question, and you're attacking me on my answer. I'm just answering your question.
You've been doing nothing but attacking me this whole entire discussion.
My point is, all I did...
asked one small question, and you're like, oh, you're attacking me.
Because we established not so long ago that in an ideal world would have no female pastors, or no female deacons, or no female deaconess, or whatever the other elders, right? So then you asked me about what does it look like in your house. But what I'm saying, what it looks like in my personal house cannot be transposed to church, because then I guess you will find yourself in quote unquote in a situation where you have female leaders. But this is the thing, because leadership is not... I'm trying to put this carefully in a way that communicates exactly what I'm trying to say in my head. Leadership is a spiritual thing. It's not an actions thing. It's not I read the Bible every day in front of my family, therefore I'm a leader. Does that make sense?
I agree with that 100%. Yes.
So it's like, it's hard for me. I can't pinpoint, what do I do as a spiritual leader and take those actions. Which is fair enough. Yeah, 100%. But then that's what I'm saying, that if we can look at the house level, the same thing we do in the house is what would happen in the church. Now, simply put, if we have to look at an official sort of like leader, of course it'll be the husband. But the way you are conducting your studies, there's nothing restricting the woman from joining the discussion or praying or talking to you. Of course, we'd have to discuss verses like they should stay quiet and then ask their husbands at home. That's always been a very interesting one to discuss for me, to be honest with you. But putting that aside for now, we can literally take your unit, expand to the church. There's a second verse here that I found, the one that talks about Chloe. It is 1 Corinthians chapter 1. Oh, is that the one you're after? Because I did find the Chloe, and I just didn't think that's the one you're after.
If we connect the two.
1 Corinthians 1.
Yeah, chapter 1, verse 11. For it hath been declared unto me of you, my brethren, by them which are of the house of Chloe, that there are contentions among you. Yeah. So if you take those two passages, put them together, where what I'm seeing is that these are two different women that have been mentioned in the context of housing the meeting of the gathering of believers. You know, So that's why I'm saying that even if you look at the house level, take that to the church level, it's the same thing. So
But you're not saying anything.
women are housing
What's the same
women
thing?
are housing the church of believers. So whatever it is that they need to do in that church, basically, whatever. I don't know if you want me to start mentioning tasks.
So would it be fair to say the women are doing the waiting?
Waiting.
Yeah. So as in the cleaning.
I think it was
the
more. I think it
cooking,
was more than
setting
that.
up.
I think if it was just that, I don't think the Bible would have taken time to mention it. I think it was slightly more than that. I feel like there's a certain, I don't know, but I feel like there's a certain gravity that is coming with the fact that it's taking time to say in the house of Chloe. You know, I would add, just like you've said, leadership is more about the spirit and so on and so forth. I would add this was also about that spirit of the woman. Yeah. If I can say that it's more than just the fact that they were there or do you want a drink or whatever. I don't think it was about that. I think it was a spiritual thing, and I believe it was a deep blessing for said women.
It was an interesting line of thought. That's why I was asking the questions. I don't think I wanted to agree with you.
Do you have an answer for it?
Possibly, I'll come on to that.
Okay.
But the things I wanted to agree with you, but I just couldn't get there, and I feel like you were just I wasn't disagreeing with what you're saying, but you weren't saying enough. So I don't know if I'm quite there yet.
All right, you've explained how I didn't make it enough.
Yeah, I don't know if
What's
I'm
your
quite
answer?
there yet.
What do you think?
In my limited thinking of it, because I haven't thought about it too much, but in my limited thinking of it, there is nothing in scripture that prohibits women from teaching. There's nothing that prohibits them from even, for lack of a better word, leading or anything, or being in an influential position in a formal setting. There is enough in scripture, obviously, to say there can't be pastors, there can't be deacons, there can't be elders, because those roles are reserved for men. Like what you said, in the same way the church reflects Christ. Yeah, you said the link. Christ is the head of the church, just like husband is the head of the wife, right? So yeah, there can be elders and deacons or whatever, but then that doesn't mean they can't still have, I guess, what people call these days ministries, right? However, also there's nothing, in fact, it's encouraged that women should be teaching children. So there's nothing that prohibits them putting women in charge of all children ministries, for example. Put women in charge of that. Obviously, you can have men to work alongside them or oversee, if you want to put it like that. Or no.
They don't need babysitting.
No. It's about. I mean, ultimately, it's like a household, isn't it? It's I let my wife deal with the cooking, but if the rice is running low, I gotta go buy more rice. It's like it's a teamwork thing. Is my point. So
she can go buy more rice.
Okay, fine.
Go on.
I mean, that's not a real example. My point was just I was picking out the teamwork element of it.
Sure.
So that's just another example. For example, there's nothing that we can say we can put all the children's ministry to do their leadership. But yeah, in essence, you can still have like women's ministry or stuff like that. I see no issue with all things like that. Women's spaces, women this or whatever, all those things can still be done, where you can still have influential women leaders, whatever, women who teach other women. Isn't it Timothy where it says, I exhort older women to teach the younger women how to conduct themselves and everything. You can still have all of that. And to be fair, that was the state of Christianity, 20 years ago? So it's not a strange thing that I'm uttering. That was the case. It's only recently that we're like, oh, no, yeah, pastors, bishops, everything. But no, for the longest time, that's how it's operated. Men have occupied those quote-unquote official roles, and then everything else, it's usually been as the Spirit leads, for lack of a better word. So if I had to give an answer, that's how I'd say, that's how it would look.
Fair enough.
Anyway, where were we?
Church.
We're talking about the church. Oh yeah. We actually just entered the church conversation, and then you instantly brought us to where we're gonna end up anyway, which was about women pastors. Because ultimately,
How did I do that? I was just
in your answer,
No,
you naturally got there. No.
I did not
It's fine.
naturally
It's
get
fine.
anywhere.
It was natural.
Oh dear.
Because ultimately, that's the. I think at the moment, I think that's probably the biggest discussion in Christianity. Not biggest, but it's one of the most relevant topics because.
And you're saying that that's not right. They shouldn't be pastors.
No. I'm saying, according to the Bible that I read, women should not be occupying roles of pastors, elders, or deacons. They can have their ministries. They can have their whatever they want to have. They can still be leaders and influential people in the church. But if we're talking about pastors, elders, and deacons, Timothy gives us the specification of what that ought to be. And one of them is a husband of one wife. So unless this wife, or this woman rather, is a husband of one wife already, she's disqualified. But then by that logic, if I'm to be fair to my own words, there would be a lot of churches without any elders or deacons, because I think we should treat that list as a serious byline.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So
not a lot of people would qualify.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine. There was one other avenue then that I wanted to explore with you. So we've had a look at work. In
Family.
In which case you brought about two interesting concepts today, actually, which is the concept of doing the hard thing so they don't have to. Because I feel like sometimes the patriarchy, as it's commonly referred to, has always been frowned upon, of all the things that it denied women of doing and everything. And I think that only became a conversation when those things were no longer as difficult as they used to be.
When we didn't have to do that anymore, now women are like, oh.
You see, but when the things were actually like, difficult and life-threatening and whatever.
Nobody minded.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things. It's a curse of our own progress. For lack of better word.
It's a curse of peaceful times.
Yes. Yeah. And it's one of those things like, would I prefer a world where all the jobs were like really hard? Probably not.
No,
so so it's like, well, I can't be too mad at the engineering world, but then of course it does create all these social issues. But I remember the fun aspect I wanted to explore with you, which is a point I was want to make right now, which when I think about the social issues that we're facing this day and age, the more and more I feel like a lot of them would be addressed if the world was a bit more Christian, or if countries are a bit more Christian. A lot of social issues wouldn't be that big of an issue, because the Bible either directly speaks to it or provides enough foundation, enough principle.
But then wouldn't you say that is subject to interpretation? Because we talk about Christianity, but let's be fair, if we were to look at Christianity alone, we have so many denominations.
True.
One verse defined so many ways. So one solution, well, the Bible says A, B, C, D, someone is coming. No, actually, you're misunderstanding that verse. Would we actually solve any problems?
That's fair, but it would, because the reason why we have these issues is because Christianity, on the surface, sounds great. Like it's a good deal. So you have these issues because people look at Christianity on the surface and say, oh, that sounds kind of good. Oh no, but I don't like that. Oh no, I don't like. Oh, it convicts me of this. Let's change that a little bit, shall we? So that we get the good sounding thing and allows us, it doesn't convict us of our sin, or it doesn't convict us, or we have no need to repent. Again, obviously a very dimmed down, summarized, generalized version. I'm not saying all religions are like this. I'm not saying all denominations are like this. I'm just it's the spirit behind most things, right? That's why you have things like Seventh-day Adventists. It's like, well, we want a gayism, but we also like the everything that we get from this. So, boom. Whereas if it was Christian, it wouldn't even be a discussion. You see? So I guess the point is, you're right. The flesh will always corrupt, and I guess that's why we're where we are. But if we were a bit more Christian, a bit more spiritual, not a bit more fleshly, we definitely wouldn't have a lot of issues that we have right now.
The world's biggest if.
World's biggest if indeed. World's biggest if indeed. Okay, fine. Anything else you want to say about?
No. I think I have laid it all down. Listen, all I'm saying is, I actually don't have a conclusion. There's just so much going on in my head. But okay, let me sum it up like this. I think the best way to go about these whole roles and these whole topics, if we have any Christians that are finding themselves in such discussions, whether pre-marital or whilst married or post-married, the three calls that you addressed in masculinity, I think anything done in love is always going to be okay. And that's the key. The key is that for God so loved the world, one. And the second key is that, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. So I do believe that if you do that and the wife has submitted as well, and you're working as a unit, there are going to be some things the wife is going to be like, no, you don't need to do that. It's okay. You were just out, hunting. Let's say taking the car to the garage. It's okay. I'll go whip you up a cup of tea, or I'll cook, that kind of thing. So that's why for me, I am saying that perhaps not in the traditional way of roles, but I'm saying that you can't do identical things. You're always going to do things that complement each other, makes the household, the church, and the community a better place to live. And if it's done from that angle, as long as it's done in love, you're never going to get accused of misogynist or restrictions or controlling or boundaries or it's toxic. It's never going to be like that. Anybody that calls it that, they simply just don't understand. And let's not forget, the Bible says the message of the cross is foolishness to those that are perishing. So of course people are going to look at a woman who is there with her husband, submissive, whatever they see that as, and they're looking at you guys doing all this. Oh no, I don't do that. My husband doesn't like me doing that. He says he's gonna do it. Oh well, you can do it. Yeah, but he says he'll do it. I don't want to do it. Oh, you're being controlled. You need to be a walker. No. They don't get it. They don't understand the kind of environment they are living in. And it's the same thing for us. We didn't have to die for our sins. You see what I mean? We didn't. In fact, salvation is not even up to us. It is Christ that is completing in us. If that isn't the ultimate being controlled, what is? What is? Are you complaining? Because the alternative is you can go to Jahannam and go. In fact, the Bible says, narrow is the way that leads to salvation. The other gate is big, wide.
Oh no,
narrow.
Yeah.
Wide is the other one.
Oh, yeah.
By all means, go much if you want. So what I want to say is that if it's, and I think the Bible got it right in the sense that the greatest commandment is love thy God and love your neighbor as you love yourself, because anything done in love will always be right. Will always be right. If you don't toxicate it,
no.
manipulate it.
No. If it's God's love.
If it's God's love, yeah. Let me add that. If it's God's love.
True love, because
exactly.
Love is love is also a slogan.
Literally, yeah. I know love is love, but that. Let's talk about that. What kind of love is that?
Yeah.
But so that's what I would say in summing this up. To be honest with you, but.
Fair enough. No, I've viewed it differently in recent months, probably within the last year or so. I think in about a year ago, I was probably a bit more in the blue jobs, pink jobs, not in like a condescending way, but in like it's still from a place of like duty and pride, and oh, of course, yeah, I would do this. But you've actually summed it up nicely. When you explained that we're doing the tough things so that they don't need to, and that's the thing. Where there is not that need, I feel like we're having these discussions and these arguments and these back and forths because we're trying to uphold that in a place where there is no that. So, and interestingly, just while we've been recording this, I've been thinking, so maybe then I should be thinking, what are the hard things in our day and age now that I should be doing that she doesn't have to be. So maybe that's how as men need to reprogram our brains now. It's not about It's not about cooking or cleaning. You can cook a whole meal in 20 minutes. That's
Literally.
it's not difficult.
It's not gonna be very nice, but it'll be a meal.
No, you can do really nice meals in 20 minutes.
It doesn't have to be fully cooked, but it'll be edible.
You know, cleaning the house now. You've got Henry the Hoover. You know, you can hoover the house. Like those things are not hard things anymore. Those are tasks. They're just tasks to manage your household. If you're hoovering, if you're cleaning, if you're cooking.
I don't know about your kind of hoovering, but hoovering can be such a hard thing. It's like you have to carry that Henry up the stairs.
If you're cooking, if you're hoovering, if you're cleaning, you're just managing your household, which is the responsibility of every man anyway. Remember, it was Adam's job to till the garden, to attend the garden. Eve was simply a helper.
Do you think they were
everything?
They were living in like little tents, shacks? Do you think they built a house like
who? Adam and Eve?
What do you think they were living like? Where were they sleeping?
I'm sure
were they
had,
even sleeping?
I'm sure they had shelter. Is
then sleeping a result of sin?
I don't think so. No, but
oh no! He put him to sleep to make Eve. So
so Adam had the first nap. Maybe that was the first sleep.
So he was just in the ground in the middle of nowhere, like. They didn't have was it a cave they were living in?
Shelter. I don't know. I've never actually thought about it.
I just imagine him in the middle of the garden.
We're not standing there.
They must have had a home.
I mean, at least you'd put them like under a tree or something. Or I mean, maybe Adam was napping. Maybe that the snake was talking to Eve while Adam was napping. So maybe they were sleeping under a tree. But
the tree. No wonder why they sinned. Why are you sleeping under the only tree you're not supposed to eat?
Trees.
Now you're dreaming about it.
Oh, jeez. But yes, yeah. So now I think maybe it's just about thinking about the tough things that you have to do now. But like you said, the spirit will always be the same, which is looking out for your family. You know, being a protector, being a provider, being courageous, being mature, and obviously doing everything in life. But honestly, I think some men just need to grow up and stop arguing about who's gonna do the cooking. Honestly,
you say that, but you speak to enough people, you understand that this is a cultural problem. Some men have been brought up in a certain way that it's not easy for them just to snap. In fact, even in getting married, they were understanding that my wife is going to be doing A, B, C, D. I'm going to be doing A, B, C, D. So it's not as easy as just growing up. For some people, again, I'll always say we've been very fortunate because obviously we have African background and then the Western world, but then we grew up in the spirit as well. So it's like we're able to pick what's good, what's bad, discern. Mm-hmm. Not everybody has been that fortunate. You see what I mean? So it's not a simple matter of just grow up, guys.
I think it is.
It could be also almost an identity kind of changing thing. Like, well, okay, hold on.
That's good.
What do you mean, my wife? Like, I can cook for my wife. I don't know what accent I'm doing, but what do you mean? I'm doing Coming to America. What do you mean? I can? It's not even Coming to America.
Okay, no. Do you know? That's fair enough. What you're saying. And the thing is, where something is cultural, if you're in that culture, it's not a problem, right? If there is a conversation, if there is a discussion, then that means there's a problem somewhere.
It could be a problem if one of you is now being exposed to conversations like our conversations, and then they're starting to think, hold on. So one person is slightly woke, the other person is not. Then that's why there's a conversation there.
Well, if we're talking about our context, we're Christians. Mm-hmm. You're probably Christians, in which case we talk about the biblical principles and standards, and what's biblical right from Genesis, like the way Dr. Miles Monroe used to put it, that it was Adam's responsibility to do everything. So everything around the house is your responsibility. Your wife is there to simply help you. So as a helper, you help what's already being done. You don't take up responsibilities. That's the way Dr. Miles Monroe would interpret it. I buy that as some say. And it's in line with scripture. That's exactly what happened. Adam was created. He was told exactly what to do with the garden. He was put in charge of the garden. Eve came as a helpmate. So all makes sense. So if that's the case, follow the Bible. Don't follow us. Follow what the Bible is saying, and the Bible will communicate.
Again, once upon a time, that was good advice. These days, there's all sorts of things in the Bible. You just can't say
no, not in this Bible.
Follow the Bible
and
prayerfully.
And the Bible will communicate the same message. for people in the Western world, do you know what I think it is? I think it goes back to just conversations that people have.
100%.
Because if it is an agreement that you and your future wife have, that I will be doing the cleaning, I will be doing the bins.
I don't know how I feel about that though as well. But if you're having to have such conversations, that's gonna negate the whole acting in love kind of thing.
No. Because
now you're forming a sort of like contract, emotional contract. Now you have issues. Oh, you don't do the bin.
It's probably the way I said that. But that conversation can be had where it's actually a productive conversation and not a conversation of unhelpful expectations, or whether it's like, you do this, I'll do this. No. It's a conversation of expectation, and this is I think a conversation that a lot of people need to have before they get married. What is it that you expect in a marriage? What do I expect? And then you get on the same page. So if it is, for example, let's say, you have some girls that grew up in a house where their dad always took the bins out, and in the 24 years of life, they've never touched the bin. And they're like, you know what? I don't really want to start now. They can communicate that expectation to their future husband. You know what? I don't really want to start now. Assuming there's nothing wrong from their husband. So, okay, cool. That's fine. At least I know.
And the husband grew up in a household where the mother took out the trash and they never touched the trash in the whole 24 years.
But then do you see why it's important to still have that conversation beforehand? Because now that's something that needs to be sorted out before you end the marriage.
Now, we're not going to get married because I don't want to take the trash and she don't want to take the trash.
I mean, if you can't find a resolution to that, then I would say, yeah, probably don't get married, because it's indicative of a bigger issue. So yeah, and this is the thing. There is no downside to have this conversation before marriage. It's either you find a resolution, great, everybody's happy. You can't find a resolution, in which case, question mark, can you really live together? Or third, well, I don't know if there is a third. but the point is, there's no downside. Something beneficial can always come out of this. Because if you break up because you couldn't agree about who takes the baggage out, cry for 2 weeks, but then move on, because you probably dodged a bullet. I say 2 weeks because I imagine those emotions involved. You know how people get. So some of us, 15 years of marriage, you'll be like, well, that was fun. All right. I'm kidding, wife. I love you.
I don't do the next.
Okay, ladies and gents, we've been here for way too long. We are going to let you go, and we're also going to get out of here. If you made it this far, thank you very much for sticking with us here at Offbeat POV. All right, listen, we're not going to take any more of your time. My name is Chin. This is my co-host, Pro Nick. This is Offbeat POV. And until next week, goodbye.